Okay, Moni, who's next?
Cammy just confirmed that Ace is there, but for some reason, whenever we bring him up here, his mic doesn't work. So,
Let's
do we
go
want to go
down.
down there?
Yeah, we can quickly go down to him.
All right.
Ace, Ace, you bastard, what's up?
Hello.
How you doing, brother?
It does work here. I don't know why it doesn't work in your VC.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on there, but fuck it.
All right. So, besides, I just want to say I love your channel. Thank you for uploading and keep up the work.
Thank you very
My
much, bro.
question regards real life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've noticed more stuff on social media, but I don't know if that's just like that whole social media cone vision. Like you just see like certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been seeing a lot more negative stuff, like just a lot more violence and people like not being mentally stable.
Yeah.
Is that just kind of like a thing of the times, or I don't know, am I tripping?
Um. Whew. It's a hard-hitting question. So the things that we're seeing currently suggests that we're at the either beginning or at the end of the death of a culture. Right? That's the stuff that we're seeing right now. Because if you look at every civilization that has come before it, they've all suffered the same thing: infighting, distrust, turmoil,
Like,
ultimately uprisings. Now, social media have brought with it the amplification of that, right? Along with the anonymity of the internet, which could be a masking product, right? So it could be that due to the fact that we now have the ability to speak to more people than any human being should ever have had the ability to speak to. But more importantly, there are people that now have the ability to speak that should never have been able to speak at all. It mimics what the death of a civilization ultimately looks like, just because, it does have this ability to be amplified far beyond what its actual means are.
yeah,
Which,
because I
yeah.
was gonna say you got the whole thing going on with. I haven't really seen a lot of YouTubers talk about it, where like there is more violence going on, or like the mental instability of people saying certain things that just really aren't even like in the realm of like okay, and yet they're
Yeah.
just being given a kind of mouthpiece to just go off on the internet, say whatever, do
Mm.
whatever, and then they kind of get um, enabled by other people thinking like them that are not seeking counseling or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I do think, you know, I I'm not even that old, but I come from a country where for the most part you're still allowed to disagree with each other, right? So I have friends who are liberal, I have friends who are very conservative, and they're friends with each other as well, right? So liberals and conservatives can be friends.
Yeah,
And they just find ways to coexist. There's things that they're agreeing on and things that they're disagreeing on, and it's all good. Nowadays, that's almost it's part of our sort of we've made politics religious, so people aren't just left or right wing; they're religiously left and right wing. It's their church. That's where they pray. So that gives you the right to almost view the other person as an enemy, something that has to be destroyed. It's
it's almost cult like.
Well, yeah, but human beings are sort of we're cultist creatures. There's never been a society in the history of the world that's been atheistic. Never. Every single society in the history of the world has had either a plurality of gods or, in our case, a singularity of gods. But there's always been gods, right? And we've always worshipped something. In the case of the Vikings, it was all about war and warriors, but it was for the gods. So it would appear as if human beings can't do much without gods. We need religion. We are religious creatures at our core. This would describe why we get so incredibly passionate about basically everything, right? Be it sports, be it culture, be it whatever. We have this sort of ability to get incredibly passionate because that's who we are. That's what we evolved to be. Now, when you're a Christian or a Muslim or a Buddhist or when you're religious, it would appear to me, and this is just my opinion, everyone can have their own, but it would appear to me that that satisfies that part of us that requires religion. It's satisfied. And it also seems to me as if that's favorable to, say, for example, politics. Because at least when it comes to being a Muslim or being a Christian or a Buddhist, these are laws and rules that's been written down and set in stone, you know. So, for example, the Christian Bible, right at the end in Revelations, it says that whoever takes away or adds to this book shall burn in eternal hellfire. So, in other words, the book is perfect. It is the word of God. It cannot be added to or subtracted from. The same is true for the Quran, which again says that nothing may be added or taken away from this book. So the religion stands and it sort of gives people meaning and fulfillment and a reason for existing. Whether you believe in it, I don't really care, but it does appear as if it's preferable to something like politics, which doesn't have a set in stone rule set. Politics can change. Politics can adapt. Politics can very quickly change. You know, these days we believe in things that just a decade ago, most people would have told you, would have asked, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, and these days it's almost considered crimes if you even for a second argue about anything. If you even for a second suggest that, hey, maybe that's not entirely true. You know, maybe that's not exactly how it works. You could be prosecuted. In countries like England, they now actually have criminal procedures for people that tweet stuff that might be offensive to some people. So it does appear as if we've fully and wholly embraced our religious aspects, just replaced it with something far more fickle than normal religion. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that religion is perfect here. Not for a fucking moment. Religion have led to like a lot of bad things as well. Although one could make the argument that it's not religion that leads to bad things, it's people, because whenever people are there, bad things follow. But no, I do think that we are far less nice to each other. But then at the same time, when have we ever truly been nice to each other? You know, you go throughout the history of the human species, and the one thing that you will find in abundance is war, pillage, and rape. Right? It's the one thing that we have always been very good at. So maybe a couple of bad words to each other on Twitter is preferable to war, pillage, and rape.
Yeah, because I've like from just stuff that I've been seeing lately, as like people aren't really, like you said, like they need something to kind of believe in, and maybe since like those political stuff isn't 100% set in stone, since it changes, maybe that's why a lot of the people are like unstable because their belief isn't solid. You know, I don't know. I see so many things where like people won't care if somebody got hurt in an accident, and they'll just drive by, and then eventually someone will come, but like maybe that's like 3 hours later after something already happened. You know, like it's just it's weird because I mean, whenever I'm doing like deliveries and stuff, I love seeing people get happy and kids and all that other stuff, and I'll try to help out whenever I can. So it's, I guess, a disconnect, trying to always see what's really going on out in the open world where not everybody is obviously nice. I understand that. But like, I feel like we had more civility in like just the early 2000s where you can tease someone. Like you can't even teabag anybody in a video game now without it being considered sexual assault. It's like, what world are we living in where everything's being twisted, you know, in different definitions?
Yeah. I mean, I do think that there is, if there's one thing that pisses me off, and I'm sorry if I offend anyone with this, but, you know, get over yourself. I don't like the sort of victim Olympics, you know, and I do think we've turned victim status into a currency. You know, it used to be that you're rich if you have a lot of money. nowadays you're effectively rich when you have like a lot of fucking mental disabilities and a lot of sort of victim points. Like how many victim points can you actually gain on a
Yeah.
Twitter bio? And if you need evidence of this, just read people's Twitter bios. It is a list of every single known fucking ailment in the history of the world, including a few that didn't even exist until 5 minutes ago. I do think that's a problem because I think it sort of incentivizes people to want to feel important and therefore create a whole slew of ailments and issues that they may be suffering from, which they don't because they were never actually diagnosed with these things. And I think it's kind of disgusting, in all fairness. I saw the other day someone claim to be suffering from anxiety, antisocial something, depression, bipolar disorder, even though those are basically the same fucking thing, but never mind. And a slew of other things. And they basically use these sort of diagnoses, which it isn't diagnosed, but anyways, as an excuse to be assholes, right? It's an excuse to basically be a dick. And I always think, that's incredibly disrespectful to people who actually suffer from those. Because I know a few people who are bipolar, like actually bipolar. I've never heard them use that as an excuse ever. Ever. In fact, they would rather die than be like, oh yeah, I'm a cunt because I'm bipolar. No, never. In fact, they try to live the best life they can in spite of the fact that they're bipolar. They don't just they don't use it as an excuse to be an asshole. So I do think we've gotten to a point where humanity is fracturing. The question is to what extent and what ends up happening with this fracturing. Do we eventually solve the problem and everyone starts getting along again? Does it lead to civil war? Because in the past, that's literally where it has always led, is civil war. And I think that's already happening. I saw a poll just the other day that showed that I think over 70% of Democrats, or only over 60% of Democrats, believe that a civil war is coming. And of that 60% that believe that a civil war is coming, something like 70 or something percent wants a civil war to come. And for Republicans, it's actually higher. It's like over 80% of Republicans believe a civil war is coming. And like a large percentage of them want civil war to happen. So
See, that's just dangerous when you got both. When it just comes down to two parties, two sides, that's the worst possible outcome because it's just two sides bickering amongst each other. And then anybody else who's not on that side gets demonized or alienated. And it's like,
yeah,
that's never what's supposed to be the case. Like, Jesus Christ. I don't know what people think a civil war is going to solve, but a modern civil war would not be, what they think it is. It's not going to just be like, oh, here, pull out your musket, fire, done.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's. I think Texas is probably the most ready state in America for that shit.
Bro, I'm in Texas, and I'm telling you, we're not ready for that.
Nah, I think ultimately America is going to split. I do think there is going to be a split between the blue and the red states. And I think it makes sense. If you compare California to Texas, no one in the right mind would say that should be a single country. No one would look at Texas and California and be like,
the cultures.
Yeah, they should be.
The cultures between us and California are so different on the way they spend, on the way their streets are laid out and stuff like that. Like, and then from like the materials they use to build shit, like it's completely different. And the fact that they would, try to, bully us over here to be like, you guys got to do stuff our way. And it's like, no, it's two different states, two different weather environments, two different, climates, and there's not.
But you see, for me, I sort of think that's a good thing that they break apart and that they sort of do their own thing at the end of the day. Because I don't think that it's okay for California to dictate how Texas should live, but I also do not believe that it's okay for Texas to dictate how California should live, right? It's kind of like, for me, it should be different countries. It should be countries that can agree with each other on basic shit. So, for example, if you believe in the free market and you want free markets and you want capitalism, you should be able to live in a country that has capitalism, But if you believe that the government should provide healthcare and that the government should provide basic education or even higher education, you should be able to live in a country that provides that. I don't like the idea of whoever is in power gets to fucking clobber the other one over the head, because that just breeds sort of discontent and anger. Now the Republicans are in power, and what do the Republicans do? They take every single advantage or every single opportunity they can to beat the liberals over the head with like anything, right? Just stick it to the fucking liberals. And then you get the Democrats getting into power, and now they stick it to the Republicans. And it's like, dude, you guys are, what the fuck? Like, why are you doing this to each other? You're supposed to be of the same country, and if you're not, if you don't get along, then just fucking break apart, form your own countries, and be happy. This cannot be good. The whole fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, right? It's just, I don't see how that's a good way to live. So yeah, I don't necessarily, I don't know what the answer is. Obviously, I don't live in America. I live in South Africa. We have our own fucking problems here. I do sort of, I watch the news and I reach it and I see what's going on. But at the end of the day, I think what's going to happen is going to happen. There is also the outside chance, and I'll sort of end with this. There is the outside chance that the group on Twitter that sort of make the most noise is actually so small when you compare them to the normal people, that in real life, it would amount to nothing. So right now, they're amplified to fuck because they're on Twitter and everyone can see their tweets. But if this were to spill out into the real world, the average American would be like, never mind,
Yep.
Because, and this just goes to, everyone has a dog in the fight, Fox News and CNN and MSNBC and all of them, they all want to make money and they've picked their sides. So they're always going to say things that keep them making money, right? So CNN is always going to show how bad the Republicans are because that's what gets them paid. Fox News is always going to say how bad the Democrats are because that's what gets them paid. But maybe if you talk to like the normal American, if you were to go to any town in America right now and you got like a random Democrat and a random Republican into the same room, you might find that they have a shit ton of stuff in common and they actually they're like fast friends, They have nothing to disagree on because, yeah, all right, one will vote for the Democrats, the other will vote for the Republicans, but they don't really give a shit about that. Like, there's more things that they have in common than not. I don't know, right? But then again, what the fuck do I know? I'm a fat guy sitting in my room talking about video games, so I should definitely not be listened to. Sorry, you were saying?
No, I said you sound pretty right to me. I mean, it makes sense. It's just, it really is just the internet making it seem like it's bigger than it is, but then people reacting to the stuff they hear, and then that creates real life ripple effects.
No, I definitely believe that. To what extent that's going to play out, we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, I really hope I answered your question there, Ace.
Yes, I just wanted someone else to kind of talk about the world because I really don't hear many people talking about it and their opinion, and I think it's nice to hear more thoughts on it because I don't know a lot of stuff from other parts of the world. I like hearing new stuff.
Yeah.
But thank you for taking my question and taking the time.
It's my absolute pleasure, bro. Thanks for the question. I really appreciate it. I like talking about real world stuff. It's fun. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, not too much of that nowadays. Everything's kind of just muddied.
True. everything's a fuck up. But part of that keeps things interesting, I think. So, you know.
All right. Before the before the next one, Andy wanted me to pull Ace into your stream channel because he believes that he fixed the problem.
Okay.
Just to test that out.
Okay. Ace, can you talk now? I think Andy is lying.
Yeah, I think that it didn't work.
Andy, you fucking liar. I think it's time that you guys cancel Andy. He's a son of a bitch. All
We
lies,
can't.
bro.
He's still on vacation.
All fucking lies. Jesus.